Hi book lovers, welcome back to my channel. Recently I did my favorite trope recommendations for second chance romances. So today I thought I'd do my second favorite trope, which is friends to lovers. I read so many books with this trope. I love them so much. I've said before that I love characters who have history together, whether it's romantic or not. Like, I love reading about that. This kind of trope, like falling for your friend or your best friend, seems the most genuine to me. Something that I can see happening to myself. Not that it's happened yet, but it's just so sweet, so heartwarming watching like two friends realize their feelings for each other, that the person that's meant for them has been right under their nose this whole time. It is kind of tough to get this trope right, just because not only do I have to believe in the friendship, but I also have to believe in the romance too. But yeah, there are some very special ones that are near and dear to my heart, so here they are. Obviously, I have to start with my number one top favorite book in the whole wide world. I fell in love with this book and this author a couple years ago. If you know me, you probably can guess what it is. I used to talk about this book all the freaking time, and that book is Culty by Mariana Zapata. I love this book so freaking much. It's probably one of my most reread books. I have this book like front to back memorized. I love Sal, the heroine, and the hero Culty, who is also called Ray. This is a soccer romance. The heroine is a professional soccer player. She ends up falling for her new coach, who is like a world-renowned former professional soccer player, and he is pretty much an asshole. Sal and Culty don't get off on the right foot, so they don't really start off as friends or anything, but you can see that slow development of friendship between them that makes this book so special. Like, Sal tries to be the bigger woman, trying to get along with her asshole coach. Culty is very reluctant in forming a friendship or any kind of relationship, but Sal is kind of too sweet and too much of a dork to, you know, ignore. And you can slowly see how much Culty values and treasures Sal and their friendship, and eventually love, of course. But Mariana Zapata is just so great at developing friendships between her main characters. This isn't like the only friends to lovers book that This isn't the only Friends to Lovers book that she has. I think Under Lock could count, Dear Erin. She's just such a great author at developing like a strong foundation for her main characters, so that like seeing them fall in love is just so believable. I also have to say that this has got the best nicknames in any romance that I've ever read. Sal and Culty are so adorable. They have such great banter, always picking at each other, teasing each other. And of course it's got amazing slow burn. This is Mariana after all. But yes, please read this book. Next up is an author we all know and adore, and that is Christina Lauren and Dark Wild Night. I debated whether to choose between this one, Beautiful Player, and Love in Other Words, but since I already included Love in Other Words in my second chance romance video, I decided to not include it. And for Beautiful Player, I love that book so much. It's probably still my favorite Christina Lauren book, but I thought I'd save it for like a best friend's brother or brother's best friend trope recommendations video later on. So I went with Dark Wild Night. This is book 3 in the Wild Season series, though it can be read as a standalone. I do recommend reading the other books too, not only because they're amazing, but also the main characters in this book do show up in the first 2 books and you get to know them a lot more. So this series centers around a group of friends who go to Vegas and accidentally end up married, all 3 of them. And this third couple is Lola and Oliver. They're the only ones who ended up getting an annulment, I believe, but they remain friends after. Lola definitely has like an unrequited crush on Oliver, who is like a gorgeous Australian man. If you love nerdy characters, this book will be perfect for you. Our heroine, Lola, writes and creates graphic novels. And in this book, she's getting quite popular and trying to juggle like her career, her growing fame, and also like her own life, like her own social life, her personal life. Since getting the annulment, Oliver has been wondering like what could have happened. This book is so sweet, so emotional. I loved Lola and Oliver. They made such a cute couple. They're both like, I kind of want more, but at the same time, is it worth like risking and losing this amazing friendship that they have? And again, if you love like nerdy heroines, definitely read this book. Next up, we have a book that probably has my favorite cover of this whole list. That is So Good by Nicola Rendell. Look at this freaking chihuahua. And look at this man. So I don't love this book just because it has a gorgeous cover. The book itself is amazing. I think this might have been my very first Nicola Rendell book, and I just fell so in love with like her writing. So the book starts off with the hero accidentally seeing his best friend naked and realizing, holy shit, she's actually beautiful and really hot. I actually like this just because there's no like big makeover transformation and then all of a sudden the guy's interested. So that's a little different. And I also love that the hero saves a drowning chihuahua and ends up adopting her and names her Cupcake after his best friend Rosie, who is a pastry chef. I thought that was the cutest thing ever. Like, look at this. Just imagine some big, gorgeous man holding the tiniest chihuahua ever. How can you not love that? This is the sweetest Friends to Lovers romance ever. I thought it was so adorable, especially like with the hero's dog and then the heroine's cat. Like, it's light and fluffy, so much fun, and also really hot. Max and Rosie have some great chemistry once they realize their feelings for each other. This is one of my favorites, and I was kind of hoping that there would be another book like for a secondary character. It's been announced, but no news about it for like a couple years now, so I'm not gonna hold out hope. But if it ever drops, I am reading that book ASAP. Next up is a new adult romance. It's kind of mature young adult too, just because it's set in high school. That is The Sea of Tranquility by Katja Millay. I remember when this book blew up like crazy back when it first released as an indie book. I mean, I bought it myself as an indie book. It's probably one of the most unique books that I've ever read. The heroine Nastia went through something horribly traumatic and now she doesn't speak to anyone. The hero Josh has pretty much lost everyone in his life, and he is living on his own as like an emancipated 17-year-old. These two are classmates and they form this amazing bond between them. Nastia hasn't used her voice in years, but she ends up talking to Josh and they grow very, very close and protective of each other. The book is so sweet but very, very heart-wrenching at times. The emotions just crawl out of this book. I think if you love Colleen Hoover, you'd enjoy this one if you haven't already read it. I am a little sad that this author has never released anything after this one. She is an incredible writer and I would probably read anything that she writes. But this is her one and only book and it's pretty special, so you should read it. Next up is Be Mine Forever by Kennedy Ryan. This is book 3 in the Bennett series. This series was how I discovered Kennedy Ryan like years ago. It's a very, very angsty series. Like the first 2 books are pretty much about a love triangle, and then this third book, Be Mine Forever, is about the guy that wasn't chosen, and it's like an unrequited love kind of romance. The heroine Jo has loved her friend Cam for years. I actually didn't really enjoy Cam's character in the first 2 books. He obviously wasn't the one that I would have chosen for the heroine, but in this book he does like an incredible transformation in his character. This is a really great childhood friends to lovers romance. The chemistry is hot. There's a lot of unrequited love, angst, longing, emotions, a tortured hero, a heroine who has loved him from afar. So if you like those kind of things, definitely read this one. Next up is Unleashed by Cherrie Lynn. I love this book so much. It's probably my favorite of the Ross siblings series. Again, lots of unrequited love, like missed opportunities, like wanting a relationship but it's the wrong time. So our main characters, Kelsey and Evan, have been friends since college, I believe, and they've been friends for like a decade now. Kelsey used to have a crush on Evan back then, but then Evan introduced her to her future husband, who is now her ex-husband because she caught him cheating on her with Evan's own fiance. So they're obviously broken up with their significant others, and Evan has like an extra ticket for his honeymoon to Hawaii, which is clearly not going to happen with his fiance anymore. So he invites Kelsey with him and they end up realizing how much they care and love for each other. The book is extremely hot. I love the angst, the longing, the sexiness. It was just such a great friends to lovers romance. It was like a really sexy hot tub scene, and I highly recommend it. Next up is an Elle Kennedy book, but I chose not to go with the deal just because I want to save it for like a sports romance recommendations. So I went with Addicted. This is book 2 in her Outlaw series. This is an awesome series that I wish more people read. It's erotica and also post-apocalyptic dystopian, which is awesome. That was definitely what hooked me onto the series. The first book was okay, but this book was so freaking good. It's friends to lovers between Jamie and her best friend Lennox. Like I said, this is erotica, so there is all types of sex happening, orgies, exhibitionism, whatnot. So please go into this knowing what to expect. So in this book, Jamie does not want to risk their friendship to pursue anything more, but Lennox knows that Jamie is the only woman for him, and he sets out to prove it to her. I love a hero who wants to prove that he's the only one for his heroine, and this one turned out really good. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend it. It's quite titillating. It's definitely different from what you're probably used to from Elle Kennedy and her contemporary romances, but it's so good. I love the way she created this post-apocalyptic world. The characters are just so much fun to read about. Next up is one of my favorites from my queen of dirty talk, and that is Getaway Girl by Tessa Bailey. I love this book so hard. It was one of my favorites from last year. And in this book, we get a rejected groom on his wedding day who gets saved by the black sheep of Charleston, who finally returns home after a couple years. Addison is essentially Elijah's getaway car, so they run off together. They're strangers at first, but eventually they grow like a strong, fond friendship, even though they're both insanely attracted to each other. Elijah is the future mayor of Charleston, and Addison doesn't want to taint his reputation by being with her. But obviously Elijah is not gonna let that stop him once he realizes that he does want everything with Addison. The book is so much fun, so sexy. There is some interesting butt action actually. And I just really enjoyed Addison and Elijah's characters. So if you want a friends to lovers book set in the South with the most gracious hero and a dirty talking heroine, read this one. Next on my favorites is Sincerely Carter by Whitney G, also known as Whitney Gracia Williams. This is her adorable friends to lovers romance. The main characters Arizona and Carter have been friends since elementary school. I love how Whitney G incorporated like letters in this book that Carter and Arizona send to each other. This is definitely the kind of friends to lovers where it's like your soulmate has been under your nose this whole time and you're just now realizing it. I had like the hugest smile on my face reading this book. It is very lighthearted, very fun, and if you're looking for something that will easily lift your mood, definitely read this one. Next up is an MM romance. This is probably one of the first MM romances that I've ever read, and that is Hothead by Damon Suede. This is about two New York firefighters who have been friends for quite a long time. These two have been through so much together. They were on call during 9/11, and Griff has been slowly realizing that he's in love with his best friend Dante, who is quite a ladies' man. So when Dante comes to Griff for help with money, Griffin of course doesn't say no, and Dante wants them to do some porn together. I love Dante and Griff. I love the firefighter aspect. Them doing porn was pretty freaking hot. The book is very emotional, heartbreaking at times. Damon Suede is an incredible writer. So if you're looking for an amazing male-male romance, friends to lovers romance, this one is the one to read. Lastly is another sports romance, and that is The Friend Zone by Kristen Callihan. This is book 2 in the Game On series, though it can be read as a standalone. I adore the series so much. The Friend Zone is my favorite. This is all about college football players and the woman that they fall in love with. The hero's name is Grayson, and he is such a sweetheart. I love him so much. He ends up falling for his agent's daughter. They originally first started communicating before they even met in person through text, and they pretty much become best friends through this. But when Gray meets Ivy for the first time in person, he realizes that he wants more. He wants everything with Ivy, and he goes about trying to make her fall in love with him. This is like the perfect college new adult sports romance. I absolutely adore it. Gray and Ivy's friendship is so genuine, but watching them fall in love just makes you want to clutch at your heart. It is so sweet. So that was my list for my favorite Friends to Lovers books. It was quite hard to narrow the list down, and I also saved some for like different tropes, so I'm excited to share those with you guys. Let me know if you've read and loved any of these, or if you have other Friends to Lovers recommendations. I'm always open for them, and I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!